But right now, I think blockchain is more an enabling technology,
Okay, so Swift
and
is
we'll see.
studying blockchain at this
Yeah.
time. Now, Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, he characterized GPI
Sixth
as
largest man in the U.S., sixth richest man in the U.S.
I think for a
should now
moment
say.
there he
Thank you.
was, wasn't he? XRP, yeah.
For a brief
but
moment.
he described GPI as a horse and buggy, and Ripple is an automobile. I think he wanted to say race car, but he said automobile. I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, he's basically saying that you're still outdated, even though you've done this crash program.
Yeah, let's see. We'll see. We could also. There's many analogies you could use. My favorite analogy right now is I drive an electric car,
Right.
a Tesla, I have to say, and that's an interesting one. You could say Tesla is the future, and the old cars are the past. I have to say, it's a beautiful experience to have an electric car. I love the concept, but it's still an American car, and I can say if I could get a German car with German engineering and the electrical thing, that would be my choice. So if I could get correspondent banking and get the new technology inside, maybe that would be a good thing. The other thing he said is this is a classic David Goliath thing.
He did?
Well, if I'm now facing somebody who, through this crypto thing, is sitting on 100 billion in war chest and has unlimited funding, who's the Goliath out here? But, and
well,
I'm just a banking cooperative.
He'd have to convert that to fiat, and I think that would be interesting to kind of see that develop.
That would be a challenge.
But just a little bit about why cryptocurrencies. I mean, you've said this; they won't work in the cross-border payment system at this time.
Well, I think there was a recent article in which people asked banks, are they ready to embrace crypto? And the issue is with that volatility that they have right now.
The volatility.
It's the volatility. It's also the AML part of it. It was interesting. I had somebody come up at this conference to me and say, listen, have you experience with people who look at the past, the blockchain and the transaction patterns to sort of spot good Bitcoins from bad Bitcoins, AML on the blockchain? Not easy, partly because there's a whole slew of technologies to obfuscate the provenance of Bitcoin, right? If you pay ransomware, you would like to trace your coin to be able to get back your ransom later. There's essentially a number of technologies that slice and dice it to the extent that you cannot trace individual Bitcoin. So there's a number of people who try to really obfuscate Bitcoin, which makes AML in these crypto and the whole compliance a nightmare. So that's, I think, the other reason why. So it's a combination of volatility and the inability to do money laundering, anti-money laundering, and KYC checks on these things.
So for all of the innovation that's taking place in the blockchain space, DLT, crypto, where all of those things intersect when it comes to cross-border payments, your members, the world's biggest banks, medium-sized banks, et cetera, they're still not comfortable with that, and they would much prefer to use the cloud, APIs, existing technology.
I think that would be, but again, I mean, I cannot predict the future.
Right.
So we are looking at blockchain. I have a big team that is trying these proof of concepts, really versatile in the technology, etc. And who knows? The next phase after APIs, maybe that somebody finds good applications for it. We're going to be watching. I mean, Cybos this year is an interesting one. You should all come there. It will be in Sydney later this year. In Sydney is where Australia is where the biggest experiment in banking blockchain is happening right now. ASX, the Australia exchange.
Is that the real-time exchange? Or?
One is the real-time. That's not blockchain.
Oh, you're talking about with
but
Blythe Masters.
I'm talking about Blythe Masters
right.
and Digital Assets who are putting the CSD on the blockchain. That will be a very interesting one to see how that's happening.
Why is that relevant to you?
Well, first of all, we connect a number of CSDs to the SWIFT network. So a lot of global custody, half of what we do on the network is payments instructions. The other half are global custody, cross-border custody instructions that flow over it. So we connect many of these CSDs to the custodians. But in general, it's a very interesting one to see if blockchain can really take an existing value chain and revolutionize it. And that will be, so we'll all be convening in Australia later.
So the Australian Stock Exchange experiment that Digital Asset Holdings, Blythe Masters company is doing, that is
one to watch.
Very much on your radar.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I see. That is one of the most interesting tests out there right now. Excellent. Well, Gottfried, I just want to thank you again. It's been a pleasure to conduct this interview here at the Paris FinTech Forum. Thank you so much. Please, a hand for Gottfried Lebrun of Swift.
Thank you.